And so it says we are recording, and then I do this.
Broadcasting the boisterous part of the fastest game in the world. So strap on your lids and lace them up, Rook. You're listening to the Barn Chirpers Hockey Podcast. Take a lap. Clap it up, boys.
Clap it up.
Clap it up. If you're watching on the YouTube, yes, I have my camera muted, if you will, on purpose because we're about to play a little game in a second. But of course, we are the Barn Chirpers Pod. Chirp at us on the Instagram at Barn Chirpers Pod. Wherever you're listening, please give us a like, a subscribe, a 5-star rating. That would be wonderful. If you're on the YouTube, also subscribe so you know when we're live and when we're recording episodes and all that good stuff. We would really, truly appreciate that. So, Captain, we got to get things warmed up. And I got a little game for you, Cap, because the associate captain, Jay, here, got himself a couple of sweaters in the mail. And the game for you, Captain, well, I guess you could guess which ones that I might have gotten. I got 3, and which one I'm wearing right now.
Okay, so I know for a fact that one of them is going to be Tage because you've been talking about a Sabres sweater forever, at least a year. So one of the 3 has to be Buffalo Sabres, Tage Thompson, yes?
That would be correct, yes. One of them is definitely Tager, number 72. Yeah, not only is he one of my favorite players currently, I love that home blue. I also really love that they brought back the Buffalo head. The murder Buffalo, I'm here for it.
Now, what could the other ones be is the question.
Yeah, the other 2 are interesting.
Because they could be anything. You got, if I recall correctly, when we did the big thing last go around on Gear Freaks, it was a Leonard, right?
Correct. Yeah, I have a Vegas Robin Leonard number 90.
Okay. So I'm going to take a big swing here. I know you're high on this dude. Is one a Minnesota Wild flower?
I wish it was. Nope. No, I didn't get a flower. No.
Okay. All right.
But that is a good, that would be a good pick. Yes.
That seems like a Joe.
Yeah, I would definitely go the reverse retro 2.0 flower, probably.
All right. So then
these are all shot in the last one was a shot in the dark. You're not going to get it. I don't think.
Okay, well then
just take a swing. Take a swing. I don't think I've ever talked about this one. Maybe I have, but
well, my next inclination is someone from the Wings because we've been talking about the Wings lately, how high you are on them. But the question is who. Mm-hmm. I know we were talking about Larkin in the text chat the other day. But Mo's a really good one too. I'll throw this out there. Is it a wing?
It is a wing. Yep.
Well, then I got to go with the one we were talking about. Is it a Larkin? Dylan Larkin?
It is a Dylan Larkin. Yeah.
Hey.
Yep. Yeah. So you got 2 out of 3. I'll debut the 3rd one next week. You guys can wait for that one. So which one out of the 2 you guessed correctly, or the mystery one, am I wearing today? Well, I guess I already gave the 3rd one away. So which of the 2 am I wearing today?
Well, I gotta imagine again. Tage is your guy. You got to be wearing. There's no way you're putting on a wing sweater before you're putting on Tage.
Drum roll, please. The old Tage. Yeah, buddy. Look at this blue.
Oh my God.
Look at that.
I think you just made my decision. I've got a Darlene sitting in my cart.
Brother. Obviously, if you're not watching on YouTube, you can't see this, but this blue is so royal. Dude. And the stitch, these sweaters are top tier. These are not Fabletics.
Right.
Or excuse me, fan whatever.
Fanatics.
There you go. Yeah. This is the Adidas version. So I guess the version that the NHL has had for the last 2 seasons. I think Adidas came around. I forget. They've switched so many times.
It hasn't been that long.
It was Nike, it was Reebok, and now either way, now it's Fanatics or whatever. But this is so quality. Like, I want to get that crest in there. I wish I need my camera.
God, look at that.
Well, I can just pop up my chair, actually. There you go. Yeah, man. Like, it is so good. Like, top tier quality. I went with the I went with 2XL. I want a little bit more room. That Leonard one is fine, but it's a little short on my midsection. Like, it comes down to my pant line, which is fine, but I'm a tall guy. Like, I like it to hang a little bit. So I went with the 2X, and it
looks like a hockey sweater on you.
Yeah, when I have the hoodie on, it'll fit perfectly. So I'm very pleased with my purchase. Yes, so I'm hyped for this.
Look at you go.
Look at it. Obviously, he doesn't have a letter yet. You know, my thing about when I get a sweater, I like to have a letter as well, unless it's a goalie, because I don't know. It's just like, if I'm paying for it, I want to get the extra stuff, you know?
Right.
I think
I'm jealous.
I think the only downfall, what's that?
I said I'm officially jealous.
Well, you got like 8 sweaters now, so you know I had to get on the horse there. All right. So the other part. So did you see the Kent Johnson of the Columbus Blue Jackets made a razzle dazzle play? It is underselling it. This kid went from the blue line. He went through his legs, behind the back, around 2 or 3 defenders, brings it back to his forehand, I want to say, goes around the back of the neck, scoops it again through his legs into a Michigan goal.
I mean, what?
I mean, again, of course, this is preseason, so, you know, it's not necessarily all NHL players playing, but no matter what, going at a skating speed, that is impressive.
Yeah. Well, and we talk about this with Zegras, and we'll talk about him some more here in a moment. But when you're a team like Columbus, you need something like that, especially everything that's just happened with them over the last couple of weeks. You need something exciting happening there.
And I think that's just it's a good sign, like you just said, everything on that. But if this kid, Kent Johnson, can do stuff like that, that just opens up doors for Johnny Hockey to get this kid the puck. So these are all good things. So I love that. Speaking of Zegras, he finally signs his contract, 3 years at $5.75 million. How do you feel about that, Cap?
I'm glad they re-signed him. Like, it's the right move. Again, there's nothing exciting really happening in Anaheim. He's right at that line now where, like, he's got that solid contract, like almost $6 million a year. That's like, now you got to do something. Like, you can't just be a flash. You gotta start carrying your load of the team. So like, I think he earned it, like, being a star player, or at least a flashy player.
Well, I mean, 2 back-to-back 60-point seasons is okay. I mean, I don't think that's his ceiling. We've talked about that a little bit. That's not his ceiling. That might be like the first floor for him, truly.
Right.
If he just plays, you know what I mean? If he can live up to that potential. So, but I guess the only thing I'm looking at it, I feel like, and I know we talked about this before, but I feel like the Ducks should have just ponied up and signed him for a long-term 8x8, because in a couple of years when the salary cap goes up, like it probably will. So if the salary cap ends up being at $100 million in a couple of years, when Zegras' this 3-year contract is up, he's going to want like $13 million.
Yeah.
You could have easily signed him for 8x8, and you know what I mean? But maybe they're not. We talked about this last week. Maybe they're not trying to stay with him. So who knows? We'll see what happens, I guess.
And I will say this, like, before we went on air, I said, well, my official prediction is, one of my predictions is out the window. Not necessarily.
Not necessarily.
The Ducks could be out of contention come trade deadline, and they could deal him off to Chicago still.
3 years by 575 is not a bad contract at all.
Right.
That's not terrible. That's not a terrible cap hit at $5 million for a first line first line winger. That you very well could still be correct, and that is kind of gross, but that's okay.
And how gross would that be? Putting him on that top line with Bedard. I don't know how. Maybe we get into this later, but like I definitely watched some Bedard over the last week. Some Blackhawks games.
I think we'll have to talk about that in another. That's for another. That we can't talk about that at Warmies. That's going to take too long. But same. Yeah. I saw a sick him to Hall to Perry over the weekend. Like, wow. Anyway, but one of your things that we both kind of touched on about Tampa Bay falling back. Vasilevsky out 8 to 10 weeks to begin the season. Bad news for the Lightning.
That's really bad news because, we talked about, they're another year older. You never count them out until they're actually out because it's just they're a quality hockey club. There's no denying it anymore. Like 3 straight cup appearances, 2 of them were cup wins. You can't deny that. But like Vazzy's a huge part of that.
Yeah.
And
we talked about that a couple weeks ago. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's not like they just have, somebody of Vazzy's caliber right behind him.
Yeah. Yeah. We said that. They literally have nobody. They don't have a goaltender. They literally don't have a goaltender. That's why I was talking about when we did the Tampa Bay episode of Over Under and whatnot. They lost Moose. Moose would have been an okay replacement for 8 to 10 weeks. He could have handled that workload for 8 to 10 weeks. But these guys that they have, no, they need to get somebody.
And then it's who's out there that's affordable. Like there's plenty of rental goalies that are out there, but the big names going around are Gibson and Hellebuck. Mm-hmm. They're not coming to Tampa for a split role. Like that's not happening.
I don't have cap friendly up right now, but I don't think Tampa has a whole lot of money to spend. They usually don't. They usually spend to the cap. So guys, you think about guys that would have been that signed small contracts, like your Cam Talbots, your Johnny Quicks. You could have got those guys for.
Yep.
Obviously, maybe you didn't know. You know what? I know this is going a lot longer than we normally do on the Warmies, but I find it hard to believe that you didn't know that back surgery was at least one of the options that Vasilevsky was going to have to do this offseason. Like, there's no way that there wasn't at least like a discussion of, well, back surgery might be a thing. We could rehab it for all these weeks or whatever, but back surgery might be a thing we have to do. There's no way that you didn't know that. So I don't know. It might just be, I guess, maybe a little bit arrogant of Tampa Bay potentially to be like, we'll be fine for 8 to 10 weeks. I don't know. I guess we'll see.
And final thing I'll say about it is, they couldn't have gotten Casey DeSmith from Pittsburgh because he gets traded to Montreal, but they could have been in those talks whenever he went over to Vancouver. They could have gotten, again, is DeSmith like a top goalie? No, but he is a suitable replacement for 8 to 10 weeks.
Yeah. I mean, 8 to 10 weeks ends up being, I don't know if you play every couple days. I mean, that's almost 20 games.
Yeah,
he could do 20 games. Like that's what his season normally is. So, I don't know. I guess there's still. I'm totally just making this up because you mentioned Montreal, but depending on how Montreal goes, I mean, they could still get a guy like Montebaum. And I think Montreal still has another third goaltender. I don't have the list up right now, but anyway, this is taking far too long in our warm up. So that's more to talk about at another time. Let's. What do you think? Let's get the big guys out.
Let's get that first line out there. Last week we did the Atlantic and the Pacific, it's time to run down. It would have been much
better if I had this Tage jersey last week, but that's okay. That's all right.
That's okay. So this week we're
gonna. Sorry, I cut you off, but I think we should do the Central first to leave, since you are a Devils guy and I am a Caps guy.
Yeah.
And Corey, wherever he is a Philly. Is a Philly fanatic, so
looking at the Central, like this is going to be a lot tougher than I thought. Like,
you don't think that we're going to get all 8 like we did last week?
I don't think so. I think there's going to be differing points here, but
It might be an anomaly. Yeah.
I'm willing to bet that at number 8, we're probably going to be the same.
Go for it. You go first.
The St. Louis Blues.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah. Go for it.
They brought in Hollywood Kevin Hayes, and that's it.
I'm glad you said it this time. Yeah, that cracks me up so much.
I mean, like, look, we talked a couple weeks back when we talked about them on the show. It's like there's guys there. Like, it's not like they have no one, but Binner has done nothing since the Cup year, and the rest of the squad is good, not great. If everything comes together and Binner finally finds himself, sure, maybe they're not in the basement, but that's a lot of ifs. And they dealt off a lot of their best players last season. So I don't see anything happening for St. Louis.
Yeah, I mean, in this division itself, everything you said, they are the team that got the worst in this division. And I'm including Winnipeg in that conversation. We've talked about how far Winnipeg has fallen, but St. Louis got worse this offseason than everybody else in this division. So I have them number 8, and that was an easy pick for me at number 8. At number 7, I don't know that we're going to match up on this, but I think it's very possible. I do think this team got better in the offseason. We've talked about it kind of ad nauseum, but they don't have a goaltender, and that could definitely be a problem. I have number 7, Chicago Blackhawks.
Yeah. Yeah. I think I agree with you. They got better. They get the big chip with Bedard, but there's a lot of places that got to move. And as you mentioned, Mrazek, is that their goalie?
Yeah, Mrazek and Soderblom.
Yeah, that's not.
Peter Mrazek is not the guy. Okay. No. He wasn't the guy in Toronto 6 seasons ago. He's still not the guy.
So I just don't see it happening in Chicago. They're a better team. Probably better for them that they're not, they don't make leaps and bounds this year. They just look like a better squad and still get a high draft pick. Yeah, I agree with you. Chicago at 7.
Oh, you had it at 7 too?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Right on. Yeah, it's going to be interesting. If they had a solid tender, though, might be talking about a couple places up. But, it's still a team that's, again, we've praised them for the moves that they've made, right? And, amongst all the other things. But, like, hey, you've done some stuff in the offseason except get a guy that can stop the puck. So you could put up 12 on the board, but if you let in 13, guess what? You're still losing. That's John Madden math for you. All right, go ahead for the next one there, Kat.
I feel like this is the possibility of where we start splitting. We've been praising these dudes, like, because obviously they were in our first episode, and they come up every episode since. But the Arizona Coyotes, I think I'm very happy to report that they've done moves. They've made moves, and I think they will be a better club. I think they're going to be a lot harder out this season. They just didn't do enough to really move up the ladder.
That's fair. I actually have Arizona at number 5.
Wow.
I do think, Clayton Keller had a bounce back season after breaking his leg the previous season. Last year, he scored, I don't have it in front of me, but I think he was almost near 30 goals. The rookie, Logan Cooley, looks phenomenal too. He had an amazing razzle-dazzle play in the first preseason game as well. I think there's a lot of bright stars on this team. And just like you said, and hey, I said bold prediction, they're going to win 40 games because I think teams are going to come into the Mullet Arena expecting to cakewalk, and they're going to get hit in the face, I think. And then definitely any East team that has to come over to the West Coast, that's a West Coast trip. So they're either stopping in Arizona first, or Arizona might be the 3rd or 4th stop along the way on that West Coast trip. And that's really tough to move coasts when you're playing, hockey multiple nights in a week. So, Yeah, I think teams are going to walk in and get punched in the face a little bit, surprisingly. So I guess I'll say where I have at number 6, because I'm guessing this is where you're number 5, and that's the Winnipeg Jets.
Yep.
Yeah, so we just flip-flop there. Again, out of the teams, like, they didn't get any better other than getting Alex Iafallo. We talked about it last week. Love that kid. And Gabe Vilardi. I think that's really the only high points, if you will, of Winnipeg, other than getting rid of PLD. Maybe that changes things around. But again, there's still that tension in Winnipeg. Like, Hellebuck doesn't want to be there. Scheifele doesn't want to be there. So, I don't know. It's going to be tough to say, but considering what we just said about Chicago and St. Louis, that's why I didn't put Winnipeg lower. But I'm seeing that drop off of 3 spots from last season for Winnipeg.
Yeah, just to echo everything you're saying. Like, I think dealing PLD and getting Vilardi and Iafallo is a huge positive. I think that's a plus. But what are they going to get? What are they going to get back for Hellebuck? Because he's gone. Like, one way or the other, he's gone. If he stays all season, maybe they still cling on to that last playoff spot. But I don't see that happening. He's been vocal about wanting to get out. As you mentioned, Scheifele, he wants out. What are you getting back? Brisson, he had a quality season in Vegas, but can he take a Hellebuck-like load if Hellebuck's gone early in the season?
Yeah,
I don't know, man. So either way, it's probably a drop unless something happens and Hellebuck ends up staying the whole season. I only have him moving down the 1 spot, but yes.
Yeah, it's just to kind of everything you said. We're kind of bouncing off each other here, but I guess my only other point would be, because you had mentioned like the possibility, well, maybe Hellebuck does stay the whole year, and I guess I just kind of see it like he wants to get out so bad, and he's a pro, so he's gonna play. Like, he's not just gonna phone it in, but still that weighs on you. So like that could still affect your performance, even if you like, I don't want to be here, but I'm a pro and I'm putting everything into this, but that still weighs on you. Like, that could still affect your performance. So, I mean, we'll say this a lot because we talked about all the teams, but I think it behooves Winnipeg to deal him off the sooner the better, because I just think it's going to affect performance-wise. So this is you. Go for it. So we're at 4.
I think we might be in line here, too, for Nashville Predators.
Yep.
They got a new coach. They were on the cusp already last year, even though they dealt off almost everybody. They brought in some guys in the offseason. I like this Nashville Predators club. When we watched here, take a drink. We say this a lot, but when we went to go see them, they were a fun team to watch live. I think they got better, and at this point, it's only one step up, but that puts up in playoff conversation. So Nashville Predators at number 4.
Yep. Same thing. The only thing I have to add is I still think they missed the playoffs, though, because as we talked about with the Pacific, man, there might be 4 squads that make the playoffs from Vegas or from the Pacific, itself. There might be 5. There might be 5 squads that make it from the Pacific. It's such a stacked conference. So Nashville could still be on the outside looking in, but I agree with you. And again, to touch on, we like it, we love it, we want some more of it. They did an amazing job with nobody on the team. So they bring in a couple pieces, and let's see what happens there. So I feel like we're going to be in line on this one, number 3, Justin, and that is yours and my Minnesota Wild.
Yeah, man. Yeah, man.
I think that I don't think they got any worse. They literally, I'm putting them at the same spot where they were last year, because I think they stayed the same, which is kind of a bad thing for the Wild, because years of kind of frustration, which goes along with Minnesota sports in general. But you you have the pieces. Gus is an amazing goaltender. You have Kaprizov, you have Boldy. These guys are great players that can propel a team forward. Not to mention Flower. Like, you have Flower on the squad. Like, you know what I mean? So I just don't think that they did enough to, obviously that's a playoff spot, so they're in, but I don't think that's enough to propel them past the first round still. They need that one piece, I think, and I'm not sure exactly what it is, but they need that one piece to push them over the edge to get out of the first round.
That's the problem, though, right? They're in cap hell for another like 2 seasons, I think. Yeah. So I feel bad because they put out. I love watching Minnesota Wild hockey. Like, it's not the same as like the rest of the league where it's fast. Mm-hmm. Like they just play like a really good brand of hockey.
But to that same point, they turn it on at points too.
Yeah.
So like they can turn it on and then like scale it back and make you play like, try to attack them. So to that same point, yeah, they play a great brand of hockey.
They're a lot of fun to watch. If anybody's listening or watching us and has never watched a Minnesota Wild hockey game, I highly recommend watching at least one next season. Yeah. But like to your point, like they're fielding pretty much the same. They didn't lose much, but they also couldn't gain anything.
Yeah.
So I made the prediction last week that they're going to go to the conference finals this year, and that might just be homerism. That might just be wanting to will it into existence.
Right.
But man, like they have the ability. Are they going to do it is the question.
Yes. And I mean, really, like I like their team. I had mentioned it in the Minnesota episode, take a drink, but getting Mojo over in the trade deadline from the Caps, I said it in that episode. I think a full season on the Wild for Mojo. Like, we talked about how they had trouble scoring goals. Like, Mojo can be that guy to score you 14, 15 goals to put you over. Like, that is very possible. He does that. He comes in clutch all the time. So, and I think their team last year might have been one of the better squads that they've put on the ice in multiple years to get to that playoff position. They just couldn't score. Like, again, you just gotta score, guys.
Score.
So we'll see how it goes.
And if they can, because we mentioned this already in previous episodes, but if they drew just about anybody else but Dallas in that first round, because they played Dallas really well.
Yeah.
They draw just about anybody else except for maybe Vegas. We could have been talking about something like they could have gone on a run. You never know. Yeah. But like, you ran into Dallas. What are you gonna do?
What are you gonna do? Who do you have at number 2?
I hate putting them here because I think they're a quality club, but Landy's out. They brought in some pieces, but I don't know that it's enough to keep them. It was already, by a point last season. I got the Colorado Avalanche at number 2.
So do
I got to watch some preseason last week of Colorado and seeing Tatar and Wood on the same line. They looked good together. Mm-hmm. And they didn't play in a lot of lines together in New Jersey last season, but like you could tell that bond from them being on the same club last year really was shining through on the ice. And I think those are going to be some underrated acquisitions come the end of the season. But like, yeah, man, I like Colorado a lot, but you lose a guy like Landy for probably the whole. Was it officially the whole year? Like, I don't.
Yeah, I mean that's what they said. I mean, there could always be the LTIR, situation where he comes back in the playoffs because he's healthy enough, because there's no cap in the playoffs. But yeah, I mean, from what I saw, he's out the whole season.
So you lose a player like that, and sure, you got McKinnon, you got Rantanen. You've got pieces there that are going to keep you in contention, but like, I just don't know if they have enough to get that top spot.
Yeah. I don't really have anything to add to that. I'd be saying the exact same things other than, I don't know. Gorgiev I had him on fantasy last year and he was kind of not very consistent all year. He would kind of go on a streak of 3 or 4 solid games, and then he'd go on a streak of 5 or 6 where he was just terrible, like not good at all. So that'll be interesting to see. I guess the backup, well, he actually was the 1A, Francouz. I think he's still injured as well. So I'm not sure who the backup is for Georgiev. Not sure what the situation is with Francouz. So they definitely would need those 2 guys to be healthy and on. The other thing, just touching on that preseason game that I watched as well, there's a kid on there that I mentioned in the group chat, Tufty. He's from UMD, University of Minnesota Duluth. He looked good. He had 2 top shelf just snipe wrist shots. Again, they were playing, an AHL goalie, but still, like sniping those. I hope he makes the team because he could bring some fire into that Colorado Avalanche team. So we know who number 1 is, the Dallas Stars. I think getting ousted getting ousted by Vegas, getting that close, and obviously you lost to the eventual champs. So we talked about this before. You can hang your head on that, but I think that hurts real bad for this team. And I think they brought in Matt Duchene. They didn't really lose anybody. They still have Jason Robertson, Captain America, Joe Pavelski, Rupi Hintz, Wyatt Johnson. That kid shined bright in the playoffs. I guess really the only question for me is like the Jamie Benn and I'm drawing a blank right now. The other guy who's been there forever, came from Boston. Why can't I think of his name right now? But Tyler Seguin, like those 2 guys, their contracts and kind of lack of production over the last, 8 years. So I don't know if you could get away from those contracts, you could probably bring in some guys that can produce consistently. But I think it's their division to lose. Truly, I think that they have the potential to run away with it because Ottinger.
Yep.
And Wedgwood is a solid backup too. So
he really is. I didn't really even notice it until the playoffs last year, is when Wedgwood stepped in the few times that he did. It wasn't like it was like this some noticeable drop off. So yeah, man, like no notes, almost the exact same thing. As long as Ottinger's there and healthy, it's theirs to lose.
Yep.
It's got to be Dallas. Yep. I hate it because I hate the Stars.
Why do they have a hockey team?
Exactly.
All right, we're moving out to the east side where we preside with the Metro Division. We got, technically with the show, there's 3 of our teams on this show. I know we've had a ghost mascot for a while, but maybe he'll show up one of these days. Love you so much. So I want to take this one first because I would get to chirp Corey. The worst team in the Metro is going to be the Flyers because they suck.
Yeah, man. I think he would agree. I hate to do that, but I think he would agree. They certainly didn't get better this offseason. No, they lost Joe. They lost Hollywood Kevin Hayes.
They did lose Hollywood Kevin. Well, they did get better in the sense they got rid of Ivan Provorov.
Yeah.
So they did get better in that aspect.
And they didn't lose Carter Hart.
They need to figure that out.
He should be gone. That poor dude, man. Like he's going to be shell shocked, and he's going to be useless to anybody if he has to go through this season.
He already might be, truly.
Unfortunately, yeah.
Unfortunately might be, and he's a really good goaltender. He really is. But so obviously I am chirping Corey on this because I'm saying Philadelphia Flyers 8th in the Met. But honestly, that would be the best thing for them because get more draft picks. Tank the season. You probably don't have to try. They're going to tank anyway, but you're going to get in that high draft. Wow. I podcast and I do this every single week. I talk over myself. Get that high draft lottery pick to continue building up this squad because as we talked about, Torts can turn this team around to the sense of being able to take the next step to win, if that makes sense. He can get the Flyers squad to the point where then when Torts leaves, the actual coach that they want to have, run the squad for the next 10 seasons comes in and they become a winning team.
Yeah, I got nothing to add because really, there's nothing to talk about. They didn't bring anybody interesting in. They barely have any pieces to deal off anymore.
Yes.
Konechny, Hart, Coots.
Yeah, this is why we need Corey, because he knows the team better than we do about pieces that you could deal off. But Tippett,
Tippett, he's a piece that you could get something for, but like there's nothing exciting happening in Philly other than Torts is still your coach, and
yes,
I honestly, yeah, that is definitely a positive. So no notes. Philly is definitely going to be number 8.
All right, moving on.
Number 7, we might split here. I want to go see them live because this is another one of those things where it's like, I want to see, why do they have a team? They made some moves this year. I think they get better, obviously, but it's the Columbus Blue Jackets at 7.
Yep. Same.
I saw a quote from Elvis Merzlikins. He said, I'm going to show people this year. And it's like, I like the confidence, my friend. And you've been their guy for the last, 2-3 seasons.
Yes.
He split time with Corpy last year, but no offense, dude, but like, no.
Yeah, I think, I like it. I like the same. I like the confidence. I feel like you need a little bit more than an amazing off-season training to step, like, you can step your game up for sure.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're constantly having to stop 2-on-1s, 3-on-1s, 2-on-0s, 3-on-0s, buddy, if you don't have guys to, sacrifice the body and take shots and get in the lane and all that hockey stuff, you're going to be stopping 60 shots a night. How many are you going to stop?
Yeah.
You can't ask that of anybody,
Right.
So yeah, I love the confidence, but and I would love to see it, but we got to see the actual team turn around, of course. And we know we don't have to actually say names, but all the things that have happened in the last couple of weeks, like, can we get over that? Because let's hope that's not lingering around, I think one high point, we already talked about it in the Warmies, Kent Johnson, that kid, razzle dazzling. And the clip that I saw, it looked like there was a lot of people in the stands and they cheered big time when he scored that goal. So that's a positive.
Yeah, man. I mean, prove to me that I'm wrong, that Columbus, Ohio does deserve a hockey club.
Yeah.
That's all I'm after is play some good hockey or play hockey.
Just play hockey. Play some hockey. Well, this is fitting that I'll take this one. Obviously, I'm going to pick the Caps at number 6.
Man.
We kind of already talked about it, where they're going to fall. Nothing really to add, truly. I mean, I know last week I talked about that it's going to be a terrible season. I'm kind of just being pessimistic about it, but I don't think it's going to be a great season. And even if it is, like, let's say everybody is healthy and we don't have the injury bug like we've had the last few years, like, ever since winning the Cup in 2018, there's been better injured teams that the Capitals have put on the ice in the first round of the playoffs and have gotten bounced every single year to the point where we missed last year. Does that make sense? Like, we've been injured ever since winning the Cup in 2018, right? Oh, we're injured. We have injuries. Like, yeah, okay. We've had better squads than I think what is going to be on the ice this year. And even if we did get into the playoffs, going back to my point, we're not going to get out of the first round. So might as well kind of tank, get a high draft pick. Truly.
I mean,
that's my thoughts.
You guys aren't as bad off as Philly is, but you're in
definitely not. Not even as bad as Columbus, which is why they're at 6.
Right. But you're also not in a position where it's like, oh yeah, we're going to be in playoff conversation, because like you mentioned, even if you are, what are you going to like? Who out there in the East can you beat in a 7-game series?
Yeah, I mean, truly, and we've talked about this many times on the show, I would rather continue to miss the next 3 to 5 years than get to the first round and get bounced and embarrassed again. Like, ugh, we just won the Stanley Cup in 2018. Like, that's very recent history. And now we've had a hangover for 5 seasons. Pump the brakes a little bit and let's go ahead and just continue to miss the playoffs, because I don't want to get bounced again in the first round. The next time the Capitals make the playoffs, in my view, you better go to at least the finals of the Eastern Conference Finals, at least minimum. Yeah. So,
and that ain't happening anytime soon, Jack.
No, not right now, dude. Not right now. And again, going to it, like, obviously, I want to see OV break Wayne Gretzky's record. So they're going to kind of just continue to do this song and dance until he does that, and then scorch earth and do a full rebuild. So it's, like in 10 years, if we're still doing this show, we can talk about the Capitals playoff berth in 2033.
Well,
you heard it here first.
You heard it here. I have a feeling that we might differ here at number 5, because I think there's a team you're lower on. But again, this is a team you love to see everything they did in the offseason, because they missed the playoffs last year and we're like, nope, unacceptable. But did these moves that they make do enough? I got at 5 the Pittsburgh Penguins. Yeah, I think they put out a better club this year, definitely. You bring in the big piece, Erik Karlsson. Is that really a big move? Like, I know money-wise, I know name-wise it's supposed to be, but is it? Does he do what you think he's going to do, like what that contract implies? I don't think so. And that they made a lot of, like, they brought in my guy Gravy. They made moves. Like they missed the playoffs and said, no, that's not cool. No, thank you. We're not having that. I appreciate that, but I don't think they did enough to get over the hump.
That's fair. And, again, we've talked Erik Karlsson ad nauseum, so I don't necessarily have to say any more about that. To kind of answer that rhetorical question that you asked, I really don't think it's going to be a major difference to have him on the squad. I really don't. I do think Sid the Kid, who's not a kid anymore, but Sid the Kid and Gino still playing like they did last season, I think you have a shot. But I have them at a different spot that I'll save to when we actually get there. But I agree with everything you said. Like, yeah, they made moves. Is it enough? So I think that they will not miss the playoffs for a second year in a row. I think they will get in somewhere because, yeah, just that environment is this is the first time in almost 2 decades, guys, that's not going to happen again. So I think that's just the atmosphere in Pittsburgh. At number 5, I have the Isle, New York Islanders. I mean, again, boring, number 1. Number 2, I just don't think to put it simply and not go on a tangent, to put it simply, you can't just rely on Ilya Sorokin to win you games. You can't rely on Sorokin to get you into the playoffs. You're a boring club. You don't score many goals. You don't lay the body. You don't kill penalties, and you don't score in the power play. And somehow you still get in the playoffs. I'm not sure how that happens, but you can't continue to rely on Sorokin. I know I'm basically like contradicting myself by saying all those things, but you really can't. You can only do that for so long. And, I think to waste a goaltender at the level Sorokin is kind of appalling by you, the New York Islanders. I am ashamed of you. But I think you're going to finish 5 in the Metro. And so, because that would be 1, 2, 3, and then 4, 5, 6. Yeah, you're missing the playoffs. Isles are out of the playoffs this year, I think.
Well, I have the Isles at number 4 for everything you just said, because I don't know. I'd have to look to see like where, if I actually have them making the playoffs or not. But I think Sorokin keeps them there. You know, I you know, you hate that for him for everything. Again, everything you just said, I hate that for him. You have this upper echelon goalie who's just wasting years of his career, like
Cutter Hellebuyck.
carrying a club into the playoffs. But he's just too good to deny. You know, like I had them going into the next round last season just because of Sorokin. I thought he was going to wipe the floor with Carolina. You know, I was wrong about that. But I just, he's barring some sort of injury, he's enough to keep them at the 4 spot for me.
Yeah, no, I get that. So I'm guessing 5 then is the Rags.
So 5 for me was Pittsburgh, 4 is New York. So you had the Isles at 5.
Isles at 5, yeah. The
so
Rags are 4 for me. Yep. Yeah, Rangers
the Rags are 4.
Yeah, Rangers at 4. Yeah, I mean, really, I just don't think I mean, they didn't really get better, I don't think. And everything we talked about on the New York episode, I don't know. I just don't believe it. I don't believe, not that I'm not a Rangers fan anyway, but when I see the Rangers on the ice, I just don't believe it, if that makes any sense at all. I don't know. I don't think Shesterkin is the same. I don't think Zibanejad is the same. Panarin's the same, but I just, Kreider's not who he was 2 seasons ago. That was a fluke, I think. So I just see the Rangers and I'm like, yeah, I don't believe it. I don't believe it. So I think they fall to 4 in the Metro.
Well, I've got the Rags at 3.
Okay.
Basically everything I said about the Isles, as long as Shesterkin's there, like it's hard to bet against the Rags. You know, you got an Adam Fox. They've got a good defensive core. They have guys who, on paper, should be able to do things for them. Yeah, can they? Will they? You know, that's the thing. And this is the part where it's like, man, I wish I believed harder in Pittsburgh, because I'd much rather see the Pens, who again got rid of everybody and said, nah, man, we can't do this. We don't miss the playoffs. That isn't something that happens here. Yes. So I wish I believed in them more. And I honestly wish the Caps would have done a few things, because I would love nothing more than bump both New York teams down.
That'd be great, wouldn't it? That would be great. Okay, so we're at 3 then, right?
Yep, I had the Rags at 3. So
I have Pittsburgh at 3. So everything we talked about, I think that they did do everything that they could do to get better and to get into the playoffs. I mean, 3 might be a bit of a reach, truly, because of everything I said 5 minutes ago. That might be a reach, but I just feel everybody else in the Met from 4 down to 8, again, I just don't think got better, got better than Pittsburgh. That was an Always Sunny reference for everybody that thinks I'm an idiot, by the way. Anyway, so go ahead. Who's your number 2? Because this is the real drum roll here. Number 2 and number 1 in the Met.
I think we got a dog race here. But I think number 2 is Carolina Hurricanes this season.
I think so too. Same.
It's hard to make that call, because they're still the Carolina Hurricanes. I saw them play a lot of hockey last season, and every time I counted them out, they showed up, but they didn't do much. I liked the acquisition of Bunting. You seemed kind of lukewarm on it, but other than that, what else did they do? They signed some guys who produce ish, and their goalies got another year older. The rest of the club got another year older. At some point the Carolina Hurricanes are going to run out of gas, and I think this is the season where we start to see it start to happen for them.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I mean, so I did say that about Bunting. So I like bringing in Bunting because he adds some sandpaper to the squad, which they desperately need. Mm-hmm. But yeah, my whole thing with that is, like, you spent a lot of money on Michael Bunting when you could have brought in somebody to score goals, because that's also what Carolina needs to do, is somebody to score goals. They don't really have that, truly. I don't think. I mean, Svech is a goal scorer, sure, but is he going to come back from that knee injury and be a top scorer like he was? Seth Jarvis is on the upcoming, but is he a 30-goal scorer yet? That remains to be seen. We know Sebastian Aho is only going to get you about 15 to 20. I don't know. Like, that was my thing, is like, who's going to score the goals for Carolina? I mean, I'm sure they're going to make it happen because they've, been in this position in the Metro for years now. And I do think the tandem of Anderson and Ranta is probably the best tandem in the Met, possibly in the East, truly. I think Ranta really stepped up his game last season from like a 1B goaltender that's like Ranta might do well and win you the game, to I think he stepped it up to if Ranta's a net 90% of the time, he's going to win the game. I think he really stepped up his game last year. So I have him at number 2 as well. I just think, which is also weird to say, because obviously we both know who we both picked for number 1. Maybe that is a little bit of a homer pick for me too, even though they're not my team. I think the only thing that would make these flip-flop is just going back to it is the goalie situation.
Yep. So we don't need to, it's the New Jersey Devils at number 1.
The Devils. Devils are number 1, winning the Met. Yeah.
So
they only missed by a point last season, right?
That's it, right? Yeah. And if they didn't get like ice cold in December, they would have won the division. So like, and that is, they've got another year on them. They have the grit of playoff hockey now. If they pick up a goalie, like we're talking serious cup contenders this season for the New Jersey Devils. And that's not homerism. That's just hockey. Like, just look at that club.
The team is good. I mean, we talked about all their stats on our preseason lead up. Like, they score, they kill penalties, they score on the power play. They throw the body. They're a fast, high energy team. I wouldn't say unstoppable. That's, being way overzealous, but they're the team to beat in the Metro, I think, other than Carolina.
Yeah. And I mean, really, again, any of these predictions can change, barring injury or some unforeseen trade, which Carolina doesn't do that. But they're a good hockey team. And I know I picked them to lose in the first round, but that's me trying to will a Connor Hellebuck trade into an existence so that I can be wrong.
Right. I just want to point out, because we talked about it before, but yeah, the Devils missed by 1 point. They had 112, and they literally just had one more regulation loss. Had they brought that one regulation loss into overtime, they would have had the exact same points as Carolina, and they would, I believe they would have won the tiebreaker because I'm trying to find it right now as I'm stalling for time. I believe they had a better head-to-head record than Carolina. So they would have won the tiebreaker, I think, if how that goes, if I'm correct. But anyway, it's literally that one regulation loss. Had they pushed that one that one regulation game to overtime, they would have tied.
I want to read this to you, Joe, and this is why this isn't a homer pick. The lines for New Jersey yesterday against the Rangers. Top line was Toffoli, Hughes, and Bratt.
Oh.
Right? Yeah. Just off the jump.
Yes.
Second line is Nico, Timo Meier, and Alexander Holtz. So you got the young kid on the wing with Nico and Timo Meier.
Woof.
Third line, my friend, Eric Halla, Dawson Mercer, Merc Dog, and Andre Palat. It's a third line. That is a second line in almost every
That's the
other
third
club.
line, yeah.
And then our fourth line is nothing to sneeze at either. This is where the grit comes in. Nosek, McLeod, and Lazar. Like we have.
It's a good line up there. And
we have depth.
Yeah, those two kids maybe not even make the team. They'll have one of the regular guys might have been sitting out.
Yeah. So it's and then that doesn't even get into like our defense is like, honestly, do we necessarily need a Connor Hellebuck? I think we do need some sort of like really good rental situation so we don't put that kind of cup pressure on Schmid. Because Vanny, no offense to Vanny, he got us into the playoffs last year, but he's not the guy. Sorry, dude, you melted in the playoffs and you looked terrible in every game that you played. We can't have that.
Yeah, I did look. I agree with that. So if two teams are tied in the standings, the greater number of games won in regulation, which exclude games won in overtime or by shootout. Okay, so that's who wins the tiebreaker. So if we jump back to that, I should know this, but it seems to change a lot. So that's why I don't know it. So shut up. Chirp at me at Barn Chirpers Pod. You know what I'm saying? Tell me I'm stupid. So yeah, the Devils would have won that because Hurricanes have an extra overtime. So anyway, that's just being homers. We're homers, whatever.
We're homers. It's fine.
That's fine. That's fine. That's a major penalty is what I saw. Put 5 minutes on the clock there. Okay, Justin. I'm setting you up first. In this power play, we're a man up. Who is winning the Stanley Cup in 2024? For the 2023-2024 Stanley Cup champion is...
Oh, God, I hate to say this. I really, really do. Because there's so much contingent on a trade. I can't put my boys there. I'm going with the Dallas Stars.
That is a solid pick.
I mean, I know there's that, it's no limb there. It's not like, oh, wow, Justin's, really going crazy here. They're one of the best teams in hockey.
Yeah, they are.
That's why I'm picking them.
Yeah. Well, I mean, again, they lost to Vegas, who went on to beat Florida. You know what I mean? So, like, had Dallas gone to face Florida, you know what I mean? So
they probably would have wiped the floor with them too.
Yeah. It's likely. It's likely. Definitely had a more consistent goaltender. So even though we love you, Bob. Okay. So I'm going to say 2023, 2024. This just goes back to everything that I didn't pick in the playoffs last year. I'm saying the Vegas Golden Knights repeat, back-to-back champs. And basically, I'm really only saying that because I counted them out the entire playoffs last year, and they kept pushing in my face that I was wrong. So until somebody dethrones them, I'm picking them to win the Stanley Cup.
No, that's the smart money. I mean, it's repeating as Stanley, like winning the Stanley Cup championship is hard.
Yes.
Defending it is even harder.
Yes.
But if any club can do it, like Vegas showed us how stupid we were every round last year.
They really put it in our face of like, okay, just keep counting us out. That's fine. No big deal.
And all they did was win.
All they did is win. They're just like the song. I don't know how it goes. I mean, I do, but I'm not going to sing it. But yeah, I'm picking them until they prove me wrong. So now they have to prove me wrong that I'm picking them. So I might have just jinxed the entire town of Las Vegas. Sorry about that. Not really, but anyway. So we got that out of the way. And of course, obviously, when we get towards the end of the season, we'll do a playoff picks and all that good stuff. You guys can wait for that. We're like 6 months away from that. So chill. So we did 3 bold predictions last week. We're only going to do one more for everybody listening. So Justin, what is one more bold prediction for the 2023-2024 NHL season?
See, I don't know that either of these picks are bold. I've got two swimming around in my head.
Do you want me to go? And you can think about it?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. I don't necessarily know that this is also that bold, but I guess it kind of is because we just talked about my team, the Washington Capitals, last week, and we talked about would you rather, I asked you, would you rather trade Nicholas Backstrom or John Carlson? My bold prediction is that John Carlson will not be a Washington Capital at the end of this year.
Wow.
It's very bold because I feel like he sticks around to build around. He's a piece that they continue to build around over the next handful of years, but it could very well be the situation where let's get some pieces. Because, I don't necessarily think I thought that Orlov or Hathaway were going to get dealt at the deadline last year, and they got dealt.
Yeah.
So, I think anything's kind of possible in the Capitals organization right now of like, let's deal pieces off. Here we go.
We need assets. Assets.
So, yeah, that's my bold prediction is that John Carlson will not be a Washington Capital, which is sad, but it is what it is.
Okay, I'm going to go with the first one that I thought, even though I don't know how bold this is. I think the Carolina Hurricanes are going to be the team that loses to Dallas in the Stanley Cup.
Ooh.
They're going to finally
going to get past the Eastern Conference Finals, huh?
Yep, they're finally going to do it. I don't know how bold that is, but history says I'm wrong. So
yeah, well, it would be bold in the sense that they're 0-14 in the Eastern Conference Finals, so or 0-13, whatever it is. Math.
They had to have won.
It would be bold. It would be bold.
They had to have gotten one because they won a cup in 2006. They beat them.
Right. Yes. Yeah.
So they won one.
They did win a cup. Yes.
Edmonton. I think
more so with the squad, the current core that they have. Owen.
Gotcha.
As Rod the Bod as coach. Owen. They're 0 in the Eastern Conference Finals with Rod the Bod. Even though he is such a great coach.
Yes. Crazily enough, like he coaches them up.
He is actually a great coach. I do like Rod the Bod.
But I think that is a natural way, like, to just pull the goalie, right? Like,
yes, agreed.
You showed me was it
the top 1 through 8 NHL coaches, as put out by. It actually was originally put out by M-Bomb Hockey or whatever. It doesn't matter.
Okay.
But yeah, top 1 through 8 NHL coaches. And funny enough, Rod the Bod Brendamore is number 1 as the top 1 through 8 NHL coaches. And I'm going to let that sink in for a second because all of these coaches beneath him, at least the next 4, have won multiple Stanley Cups. John Cooper of the Tampa Bay Lightning. 3, Bruce Cassidy, who just won the Stanley Cup with Vegas Golden Knights. Jared Bednar, who won the Stanley Cup before Vegas with Colorado. And then Mike Sullivan, who's won 3 cups with the Pittsburgh Penguins. But yet, Rod Brendamore is ranked as 1 above those guys? How?
I'd like to know, like, what they mean by that. Like, do they mean just for this season specifically? Because if that's the case, okay, maybe, sure, I'll listen to that argument. But like, you got to have the cup if we're talking about current, like, this is current run.
This is always my chirp is that, okay, how many cups do they have?
Yeah,
that's all that matters. How many times? Like, I'm going to put it on the shirt. The cup is the only thing that matters. So
yeah,
I don't care how many games you've won. I don't care how many goals you've scored. How many cups have you won? Have you won 1? No. Rod the Bod, no. You have not. You have not. Coming in at number 6, Jim Montgomery of the Boston Bruins. I could see that at number 6. He did just coach him up to the best franchise in regular season history. I could see that at number 6.
Yeah.
I think that's fair. Number 7, Pete DeBoer with the Dallas Stars. This is supposed to be, I would not have him in my top 10. He hasn't done anything.
All right.
Jay Woodcroft of the Edmonton Oilers. I definitely wouldn't have him in my top 10. That's reaching to me. Number 8, Jay Woodcroft. Yeah. He's done nothing. Literally nothing. He's never even got to the finals.
Right. Yeah, I get it. I like Rob Brindamore a lot too as a coach, but at number 1, you didn't do nothing.
You didn't do nothing. I do want to go down 9 through 16. We'll just run through it if you have. I do want to talk about your boy as well because we're here for it. 9, Dean Evson of the Minnesota Wild. I think I'd probably have him somewhere close to the top 10, but not in the top 10 because again, he hasn't done it. He hasn't even got out of the first round, so that's not top 10 to me. Number 10, Craig Berube of the St. Louis Blues. Again, I don't know. I guess maybe the 10 spot. I mean, he does have a cup in the 19. So
yeah.
Paul Maurice, number 11 for the Florida Panthers. I think I'd have him lower. I mean, he did that was pretty amazing to coach them up to get to the playoffs last year, but I don't think that it gets you a number 11 slot as top coaches. I think he's a good coach, don't get me wrong, but I think he's a little bit more middle of the pack personally. Your boy, Lindy Ruff, number 12. How do you feel about that?
Again, we don't have a cup. I think he belongs in the top end of the league for sure. This goes to 16. If his name doesn't get brought up at some point in those 16, I think you're wrong.
I think that's fair.
Right? Like 12, maybe not, but definitely in the top 16.
I mean, it does sound like I'm being a little bit of a homer. I mean, you are my friend, of course, but I do actually think he could be at that number 11 slot because I think I take it. I think 12 is a good slot for him because what he did, the turnaround to have, I think is pretty substantial to be in the top 12 NHL coaches. I think that's fair because below him, 13, Sheldon Keefe. I think that's wrong. I think he should definitely be lower because again, you've won one series, bud.
Yeah.
You've won one series. So 14, Todd McClellan, LA Kings. Same. I'm pushing you down towards the 20s. Like you haven't done anything. Same thing for Sheldon Keefe. I'm putting him down towards the lower 20s. Dom Granado, Buffalo Sabres. I'd have him underneath Lindy Ruff because, again, the turnaround that he has coached this team up to have to a floundering franchise to over the last 4 seasons that he has coached this team up to be progressively better every single year. That, to me, means more than winning one playoff series.
Yeah.
I'm talking to you, Sheldon Keefe. And then number 6, rounding out the top 16, allegedly Rick Bowness of the Winnipeg Jets. Yeah.
Why?
The only thing Rick Bowness has ever done is get the Dallas Stars to the Stanley Cup Finals in the COVID bubble, which doesn't really count, truly. That was just a round-robin tournament in COVID times. So lower bottom half of the league for me. So, I don't know. Just
But he also hasn't done anything in Winnipeg. Oh
no, other than like berate your team on live television and make them hate where they play.
Yeah.
So way to go. I don't know. I would have Torts on this top 16 list. I would have, again, old boys club. But I mean, for top coaches, Peter Laviolette, he's won multiple cups. I would. I would even put his name is Kraken's head coach.
Oh yeah, why is he not on there?
Why, like, to turn like a second season team and you got to the semis? That's being a top coach to me.
Yeah.
Again, maybe I'm being a little bit of a homer, but anyway. So that was just Dave Hackstall. There it is, Dave Hackstall. So, but anyways, Justin, the season starts October 10th, which is 6 days away from the time of this recording. Next Tuesday, the season will start. Puck drop.
Wow. So we'll have games next time we do the show. We'll have like regular season games.
What? We don't even know what to do in this. This is our first regular season. This is going to be interesting. What are we even going to do?
Tune in to find out.
You'll find out next week at Barn Chirpers Pod. Give us a chirp. Tell us what you're looking forward to for this season. Tell us what sweaters you're going to buy for this season. We'd love to know that. And with that being said, stick taps and sellies, boys. Clap it up.
We got to end it. Oh, man. Where's my mouse? End.